me now, we are very, very fortunate. My very dear friend, Agriculture Madam Secretary Brooke Rollins. Brookie, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. You are in the room. There you were. We saw you. We have a lot of tape of you talking in the room. And I thought you and I begin. Just give us, what did you hear? Give us a lay of the land of this meeting. The president was very emphatic. Others like yourself were very emphatic in the president's economic circle. Scott Bessent was there, etc. So what went on at that meeting? What was the purpose of that meeting? How did you read it, Brooke?
Well, Larry, it's always such a joy to be on with you. So we just finished the most incredible hour or so with the president. We had some of our greatest farmers, not trade associations or lobbyists. These are real life farmers. Merrill from Louisiana, a second generation rice farmer. Brian from Texas, a fifth generation corn soybean. Gary from West Texas, cotton. I mean, it was really incredible. Tyler from Indiana, corn. And the idea was for the president to hear from those who produce our food every day, the mess that we inherited from Joe Biden. You just talked about that. But in the farming community, it is real. The cost of labor, the cost of interest rates for their loans, which they have to have, the cost of fertilizer, the cost of seed, and what the president is doing to completely change the trajectory of agriculture in America, which ultimately, to your riff, goes directly to affordability and whether every man, woman, and child can achieve the American dream. So the bridge, we talked about the bridge to get from the Biden ag economy to the Trump ag economy is what we were rolling out today. But it's so much bigger than that. It's how we fundamentally change the economic forward American dream infrastructure that we inherited to one of the golden age. And I just couldn't be prouder to be next to President Trump and all those farmers today here at the White House.
Well, it was a good photo op. I liked seeing you right where you were. It's terrific stuff. Listen, you got to look at this. We're supply side tax cuts, deregulation, drill baby drill. Gasoline prices are below $3 now nationwide. AAA nationwide, they're below $3 a gallon. I should probably put that in the RIP, but whatever. As you heard, consumers may be unhappy or I don't know, unaffordable, but they're spending here in the holiday season like there's no tomorrow. I mean, they're spending hugely. Yeah. And meanwhile, hang on, unemployment is at rock bottom, as I mentioned. Those are real facts. I'm not making this stuff up. Unemployment claims are as low as they're ever going to get. And businesses are starting to buy machinery and equipment and build factories. That's from the industrial production data. I'm not making that up either. And meanwhile, wages are running well ahead of prices. Wages are beating inflation, even though the little lefty mediaites don't want to talk about that, Brooke. I mean, people, I understand people are worried, okay? That's maybe a Biden inheritance. But the fact remains, their actions don't really support this so-called affordability crisis. Just saying. Just saying.
I know. And Larry, I remember so well, it seems like yesterday, you here talking about the growthier economy and growth. Yes. And I'm telling you, this president, he's taken the best of Larry Kudlow, marrying it to a new America First energy that we've got. And the sky's the limit. I mean, you haven't mentioned the 2.5 million new jobs that have been created since the president was sworn in, all going to American-born citizens. This is amazing. The fastest wage growth in 60 years. Gas is down. Lumber is down. Eggs are down, Larry Kudlow. Really, everything is coming down. But we believe so sincerely. Listen, we're not tone deaf. We know that America, or a lot of Americans at least, are like, well, we're still not feeling the relief. The relief is coming. The structure is there. The one big beautiful bill, tax cuts go into effect. Costs are coming down. It really is a golden age just right around the corner. And I am so excited and so grateful as the president now moves out across the country next year to talk about it as we continue the work here in Washington to make sure it happens.
Brookie, one thing directly in your domain. Madam Secretary, one thing in your domain.
I prefer Brookie, by the way.
I know that. I just can't help myself. Anyway, there's belly aching about beef. Okay, now I remember 8 or 10 months ago there was belly aching about eggs. You came on this show and you had a plan to get, and you were right, and egg prices came way down. You were right on this show. You didn't flinch at all. Now this beef thing, I mean, I would say, in economic terms, if beef prices are too high, buy chicken. But I know that's politically incorrect. So I'm going to ask you what can be done about the beef crisis. Everything's a crisis now.
I know. It's true.
The non-existent beef crisis. Go ahead. What can you do about it?
I don't want to bury the lead. The cost of ground beef is actually coming down. So we've started now the trajectory down. But let's be very clear, to rebuild the lowest beef herd in 75 years is right now will take a little bit of time. You think about the last administration, they had a war on American agriculture. They thought that cows created climate change. They didn't want big herds, and the cost of inputs were skyrocketing. And as a result, a lot of our cattle ranchers reduced the size of their herd at the same time that you have an unprecedented focus on protein, saturated fats, making America healthy again. So we're sort of in this perfect storm for beef. But ground beef is coming down. That is what the staple of a lot of our most vulnerable families are eating. That's really important. Do I know if Wagyu steak is going to come down from $100 to $90 in the next few months? I'm not as worried about that. I'm worried about our families that rely on ground beef, and that's really what we're focused on. And you're going to see, hopefully, that price continue to come down as we launched a pretty significant plan on rebuilding the beef herd in America. So you'll see it.
One thing that's, okay, no, I got that, rebuilding the beef herd, that's very important. But one thing, I want to just come back, gasoline prices below $3 a gallon. Now, it's cross country.
Yeah.
Even with the crazy climate stuff in California, it's still nationwide and is likely to come lower. Wholesale oil is about $60, maybe less than that. In fact, the more Landman plays, the more Billy Bob Thornton and Landman plays, the more people understand why lower energy prices are cool. Energy is cool. Oil and gas is cool, right? Drill, baby, drill. And so you have to watch Landman every week. Now, seriously, oil prices and petroleum prices are in almost everything. Almost every consumer business item, right?
That's right.
Including food. If you get those prices down, food prices will come down. Brookie, I don't think anybody talks about that. And so you're from Texas, and you need to talk about that because, that's where Landman lives.
That's exactly, well, and my good friend Taylor Sheridan, my hometown of Fort Worth is where it's filmed. So, I am very familiar, and I'm so grateful that we finally have some content out of Hollywood that tells the story of our great American entrepreneurs. So God bless you, Taylor Sheridan and Landman. But here's what I'll say. You couldn't be more right about that, Larry, because as we talked about the cost of inputs causing really these farmers not to make any money, the cost of food to go up, this is all a Biden, and I know we keep saying that, but it's true. The insane amount of spending, the insane amount of regulation caused everything to increase. Inflation 22% over the last 4 years under Biden. We now have it way back down. It's going to continue to go down. Interest rates coming down. Fuel, to your point, which fuels everything in agriculture, that too will have a major impact on the affordability of the food that we eat, of the homes that we build, of the cars that we drive. It is an all of the above approach, and it's coming down.
Yes, ma'am. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, the best of the best. Thank you so much for your time. Great job. Happy Christmas. Happy season.
Happy Christmas.
Every darn
Love
thing.
you, Larry.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Brookie.